what does that perfect agent look like for us? Like, if you were going to pick an agent out of a lineup, what would their traits be? Who would they be?
Well, first of all, we're big on transparency and just being honest, having an ethical mindset, right? That's, I think, just number one key. Eager. We love eager agents, ones that are just ready to go make it happen. Somebody that's eager to learn, eager to gain knowledge, eager to just come to work and put themselves in the position as quickly as possible. Not rushing anything, but they're just so excited that they're just ready to get going.
Yeah.
And I love when we onboard somebody that's just ready to rock and roll, and they're like, man, let's do this.
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of times when the agents call us or, they have questions, their first thing out of their mouth is, I hate to bother you. And I always say, man, you're not bothering me, because that's why we're together.
Right.
Is that we're here to help you. We're here to, we need to know what you don't know and help you get to that point. So, if I was going to pick out an agent out of a group of people, first thing that comes to mind is I want somebody that I feel like has the right integrity, the right work ethic, not looking for somebody to give them anything they're not willing to work for. In our business, we talk about leads and set appointments, and all that's important. But what I look for is somebody that's willing to come to the table and say, what do I need to do? Not what do you need to do? What do I need to do to...
How can I meet you halfway?
Yeah. How can I make this work for me?
Right.
Because I really need it to work. This is my shot.
Yeah.
And so I look for somebody that has that eagerness, I want to learn. Tell me what you know so I'll know it. And by the way, I want to make this a career. Now, we do engage people that are looking for more of a part-time situation. I treat them the same way. It's like, if you only have
2 days a week to work, or
2 days a week,
you get 6 days a week to work.
Give that 2 days a week all you got.
Right.
If you want to be successful. And, I find that people weed themselves out. The ones that aren't really serious about it, that don't want to put in the work, that expect it to fall in their lap. I feel like if you give them enough time, they're going to come to us and say, hey, this isn't really for me.
Right.
I'm going to find something else. And, I'm never one to talk anybody into staying or going. I'm just like, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And so I think that when I look for that ideal person, and we've come across them, and you can spot them. They're ones that say, hey, what do I need to read? What do I need to listen to? What podcast do I need to listen to? What material do I need to have? They're always asking questions, but those are the ones that always feel like, hey, I'm bothering you. No, you're not. I want you to ask me questions, because when you're too silent, then I worry.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I feel like that's what I'm looking for in a person. And I think we both line up with that.
No doubt. I think we kind of repeated ourselves in a different way, but saying the same message with what we think a ideal agent looks like. I got a question for you. This is the second thing we were kind of throwing around. To be a successful agent in this business, what's that secret sauce? Well, what do you think that secret ingredient is to like just? Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I found my sauce, but I think everything we just said about what we think the person should be, but I think what it's going to take for somebody to have that ingredient, that secret sauce, is they have to have the drive. They have to have a little bit of common sense. They have to have a compassion for the people they serve. Because there's plenty of organizations or agencies or organizations that their main objective is to enroll people, make that sale, make that dollar.
And that's great, but there's so much more to it than that.
It's important because we wouldn't be here if we couldn't make money out of it.
Right.
But I think the sauce, if you were going to call it a sauce, would be, somebody that has compassion for the people they serve, has a little bit of integrity in terms of how they want to be perceived. Hey, I want to be perceived as a winner. I want to be perceived as part of the team. I want to contribute. See, I think maybe if I have a secret sauce, I've always been a person that wanted to be seen as he contributes. He adds value to what we're doing here. He is always willing to add on to a topic or an effort to make it better. So to me, that's what I would say be most important thing for somebody is to have that compassion, the integrity, and really want to do it and take it to that next level. Keep digging. I say keep going after it because I see people that get in it, and if it slows down a little bit, I can tell that they're kind of like
discouraged.
Am I doing the right thing?
Right.
And I just
we have those lulls. Even us, we've been doing this for a long time, and we still have those times during the year where we're like, man, am I going out of business? You know what I mean? Because we got like 1 or 2 months where it's just people on vacation and they're just not around and they're not calling. It's okay, but we have to kind of remember, okay, that's May and June. It's gonna be a little slow these 2 months, or June and July.
Cycles. Yeah, we definitely have cycles, and I the younger people that come in the business, I try to remind them that it's a long game. You're not going to jump in here and make all your money, your business up front.
Right.
You got to put the time in. So that's where a lot of people kind of start losing out is they don't hang in. They don't stay in it long enough to see the results. And so that if I try to encourage somebody, when I see that they're kind of down, they didn't make enough sales, my thing is hang in there. It's going to come around. It's going to come to you.
And it does.
So, I think that if we can always do that, 'cause that's what I live by. I don't get real excited. I don't get real upset.
You don't get real excited. You get real excited.
I get excited, but I don't, I try to stay calm. I try to appear to be calm, even though I may be a raging maniac on the inside. I try to appear to be calm. So I've had somebody tell me that. They say, you don't look worried. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm worried on the inside.
You want to get in my head?
Yeah, I'm worried.
I'm excited.
So, so I think that as a leader, I think you have to project that calmness. Everything's going to be okay.
And it is. We've been there and done that, and we've seen it with other folks that we work with, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it's just to kind of piggyback on what you just said, secret sauce, I think the more knowledge somebody has, especially our agents, about how to enroll somebody, product knowledge, where to get materials. So a client calls them and they're more eager to get the answer to the question that the client has. The knowledge builds the trust, right? The more you know about something, the more somebody's going to trust you. And I think just the power of knowledge intertwined with that trust factor, I think it's bar none.
Yeah.
And I think we do a really good job with keeping up with, SEPs and
my
product knowledge, how to support your sales, how to generate business. We know how to do it, and we're teaching other folks how to get to that level. And I think that's very special.
Yeah. My I guess if I have a pat answer, when somebody calls me with a problem, it's just kind of a natural reaction. My thing is, it's going to be okay. Because I want them to know it's going to be okay. We're going to fix this. We're going to figure out a way to correct the situation.
Right.
And, I do the same thing with the agents. When they have a concern or something that they're concerned about, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. They want somebody to tell them it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then you go back and figure out how to make it okay. Yeah. One thing that as we grow, our growth is pretty fast right now, and we've put the time in. We've done what's necessary to grow, but we both have talked about culture. What do we want our culture to be? Every company has to have that. When people walk in and view your agents or your agency and how you manage your style, it's what they look at is what's the culture of this company. And my question to you would be, what do you perceive our culture to be, or what would you like our culture to be perceived as? If somebody's either inside looking inside the agency, or somebody on the outside looking at, and they had to describe our culture, what would that be?
I think just to go back to the clothes that we wear, we always look nice, but we're always comfortable. And I want our business to be the same way. I want it to
Yeah.
be professional,
Yeah.
but I want to have that family feel,
Are
that
you making
team
fun of me because
feel.
I have jeans on today?
No, man, I look.
Okay.
I'm rolling with the jeans on Friday too, but we always look very nice, but we're comfortable. And I want our business to be the same way. I want it to be a very nice professional business, but I want, when people walk in, I don't want them to think, they have to sit there tight, chest,
Yeah.
I want them to be relaxed, to walk in, hey, what's going on? Hugs, handshakes, whatever. Just a more way relaxed culture in the office, so where people can open up to us and we can discuss, whatever. They want to talk about business. You got an issue outside of business you need to talk about. I want them to trust us as a business partner so that we can, grow together.
Yeah. I think when you have a culture inside the agency, I think, I don't think you have to have two different cultures, one for the client, one for the agents.
No,
I think
you're
that-
100% right. Yeah.
I think the perception for an agent would be, hey, I want to work there because I feel good when I show up. I like the people. It's important to like who you work with.
Right.
Because I always remind everybody, you don't work for us, you work with us. Because,
That's right.
We're all independent agents. So the culture needs to be one that, hey, I want to show up. And then on the client side, we want them to perceive our culture as, I'm relaxed. I enjoy talking to these guys. I don't feel like they're trying to rush me out the door. They have my best interest in mind. So I think if we create that culture on the agent side, it just transfers to the
The
client.
client side, no doubt.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think we are like that with our clients
Yeah.
and with
Yeah.
the agents we work with.
So
I think it carries over.
If I have a wish, going forward, is it I don't ever want to lose that. I don't care how fast you're growing or how big you grow. You just don't lose sight of, kind of who we are and how we want people to look at us as either a place to do their job, or as a client, a place to, have somebody take care of their health care. So, when I talk to prospective agents or people that are looking at coming on board, I just try to present a idea of the culture as, hey, look, we're just here to help you grow, and we're here to make sure you have a safe and, a conducive work environment. That's all we want is just to have that. And so I think that, that's important.
No doubt. I do too. What's your favorite thing to see happen to an agent? So we hire somebody, we contract them, we get them rocking and rolling. What's your most exciting thing to see happen to that person through their journey?
We talked about that, and obviously we love to see them happy, and we love to see them making some money, because that's what it's about. But the biggest joy I get is when I engage somebody and I'm talking to them, and they start relating about people calling them.
That's a good feeling right there, huh? Unsupported.
And I'm like, so somebody called you because you did a good job for somebody else,
and they told somebody.
It's a referral. I said, that's the key.
It's the biggest compliment.
Yeah.
A referral.
So I see a lot of agents, they get a little discouraged because they don't feel like it's coming fast enough. They're like, I'm not getting any calls just because somebody heard about me. And I said, well, that comes in time. I mean, you got to help a lot of people, but it's like a faucet, man. Once that thing turns on, we both can, from experience,
Right.
say sometimes you kind of want to turn it off a little bit, but, and that's what happens.
And he's joking.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But once that faucet starts running and somebody calls and says, hey, you helped my sister, or my friend down the street said I should call you, I'm having trouble getting my Medicare. That's the number one. That's the biggest compliment you can get, because you did a really good job with somebody else.
And they thought it was so valuable. They told somebody about you.
Yeah. And I always equate, when I try to relate this to the agents, I always say, look, you have a guy come out to your house, he does some plumbing work, and he does a great job. The next time you hear somebody say, man, I got a clogged drain,
You're going to send them that number. Yeah. Yes, you are.
You want them to know you got a guy, and you need to use my guy because he's the best plumber in the world. That's what you want to convey when it gets into our industry, is you want somebody to say, forget all those other people calling you or mailing you. You need to call this is my contact. Call him or call her. And so when I get an agent that comes back and relates that has happened, that's where I know we did what we're supposed to do. And their payback is starting. And then I just know to encourage them more. Say, okay, great. Now that's going to build. You're going to build on that. Somebody else is going to do that. And then the next one. And then pretty soon you're going to have that situation where you're going to have to start shuffling appointments around because you got enough.
Right.
Yeah. So that's mine. What about you?
No, I love when they call and they say, "Man, I just got a referral. That's fantastic." Obviously, when we get a call and somebody just got a deposit in their bank account and it's larger than they thought it was, and
Right.
they're able to pay their bills and actually go on a vacation because they hit a certain little milestone income wise. I think that's awesome when we're helping the betterment of somebody's life.
Yeah.
And we hate that the world revolves around the dollar, but you got to make money to go do things, right? You got to make money to spend on bills and things like that. So, self-generated leads when somebody's growing, especially if they want to be like a sub-agency, their book of business as just an agent is growing, that's showing that success. And obviously, like I said, when somebody calls and they're just so excited because they got kind of an unexpected deposit in the bank that is life-changing for them at the moment, I think that's just incredible, man. It gets to be excited.
Well, it changes their trajectory in terms of their family and,
Right.
and what they can do for their family. And you talked about sub agencies. A lot of people may not know what we're talking about, but we do encounter people that come on board and they have that drive. They're like, I'm doing well, but now I want to spread that around. I'd like to have other people join me. So we always encourage, hey, find some people that want to do what you do and bring them on board. And then we're going to make that work.
Right.
And then it starts generating more for them and they get a sense of ownership. You see? So I think anytime you give somebody a sense of ownership, they feel like they're even more part of the equation. So I think you're right there. So that's good stuff. Now to kind of wrap things up, I always like to play a little game. Or I like to play because I played this game before.
Do you like to play a little game?
Hey, look, if you could come up with just 3 words, not 3 sentences, John, 3 words.
I got you.
What are 3 words that would best describe how you see our business, our growth, and our agency, let's say the next 5 years? Just 3 words.
The first word is growth. We are on a
Hard to say
trajectory.
growth.
Yeah, well, that's on my list. That's number 1, growth. So we're definitely the next 5 years, heck, in the next year, we'll be growing substantially if it's in the Lord's plan, and I think it is. Family. I think our culture in the office is very family-like, and I love that. It's real, it's relaxed and professional all kind of at the same time. And just support. I think Plus 65 is here to support not only our clients, but any agent, broker, agency that wants to grow and do more. I think we have all the support that is needed. And those are my 3 words: growth, family, support.
Okay.
What you got going? What's your thoughts?
And I want to explain this word, recognition. Okay, it's not that I want to be recognized, and I'm not so much talking about us as individuals, but what I want is recognition within our peers and in industry as, hey, these guys are doing it right.
Right.
They're building something that's special. I like how they're managing their business. I like how they manage their people. I like how they are helping their clients. And so for me, recognition, again, not individually to me, but I want our clients and our agents together to recognize that we have created something here.
What we're about.
Yeah, so special. The next word that I would throw out there would be satisfaction. Again, satisfaction from, I'm going to say from the agent side. And satisfaction to me seems like a pretty moderate word. Like, is that all you got? Satisfaction? But I want people to feel, maybe gratitude would be a better word, but satisfaction, gratitude that
to make sure we're meeting them where we need to meet them at, and that they're satisfied.
They feel like they have landed in the right spot
where they need to be.
Because I don't ever want regret. I don't want people to feel like hey, did I make the right choice? So to me, if somebody relays to me like, man, I'm very satisfied, I'm very gratified where I'm at in life and with my work, my professional life. So I think that, that's important to me. And then the other thing would be pride. And maybe that also goes a little bit along with satisfaction, recognition, but pride for me is more related to, maybe my family, and to you as an individual is, hey, we built something here and it's special and we're proud of it,
Right.
So that's really for me. I want to make sure that we're, it's like people say, I want to put out the best product available. I want to build the best thing. I want to do this. So I want to be, we don't have to be the biggest for sure. And we won't be the biggest, but I want to be one of the best at what we do.
Right.
And people would look at the size of the organization and say, you got a long way to go before you can be the best. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. And that's what I'm hoping for, is because it keeps you moving down the road. You keep adding, building, improving, and
Learning.
making it better. So at one point, or at some point, I want to have a lot of pride at what we are doing. That's mine.
Yeah, you got to be proud of your business. You
Yeah.
do. You got to be proud. And you also want anybody that's working side by side with you to be proud to be affiliated with you,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
When they're out on the streets, like, oh man, plus 65, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And to say something good coming out their mouth and not something bad.
Right.
So that's a two-way street there. We want to definitely be proud of what we've built, but the people that work side by side with us, we want them to be proud to be affiliated with us.
Yeah. And I never want to feel like I have to talk somebody into coming here.
Right.
I want to be able to tell them,
Free will.
Here's what we are, here's what we're about, here's what we can do. And then it's their turn to say, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
So I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I think we're on track.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Appreciate you. We're doing the thing.
All right.
It's exciting.
Good enough.